So many pieces all back together now. What's your vision?
Hello there, welcome to Season 3 with Red Bull Leipzig, The Rise. So, if you've been keeping up with the episodes, you will know that we got promoted last season to the Bundesliga. This is our third season in the series, and things are about to kick off and get real serious now as we come up against the mighty giants in the Bundesliga. So we have a few things to wrap up today. We'll get through them before we get into the first match today, which is the German Cup match, the DFB Pokal match against a minnow side, and we will get into that a little bit shortly before we wrap up at the end of the episode and get right into Season 3 in the Bundesliga. But as I say, a few things to discuss prior to today's live com. So as you may notice, we do indeed have new kit. We are sticking with the Nike sponsor and the Red Bulls, of course, on the strips also. So the home kit, we've went for white with red trims on the arms and a red line down the middle with a shade of blue. That blue is to represent in the badge of Red Bull Leipzig with the red, of course, also. The blue away kit, or the deep blue purpley colour, is the base colour of the actual club's current away kit, so we tried to stick to that colour. And their third kit is blue with a little shade fading into purple, so just to make it a little bit different, we have went with purple for the away kit. Hope you like them, I quite do. Enjoy making them every season, so hopefully I'll continue to do that over the course of the save. At the tail end of last season, we requested an affiliate club, and we got one, which was Borussia Dortmund. Now, within literally weeks of this happening, we ended up getting it cancelled due to us getting promoted. The day we got promoted, it got cancelled, and the reason for that is because they do not want, the board of my own team do not want to have a club as an affiliate in the same division. In regards to current affiliations, we have Red Bull Leipzig 2, FC Liefering, FC Red Bull Salzburg, Makarangstadt, who play in Germany also, and New York Red Bulls, of course. Two of those clubs, Salzburg and New York, of course, affiliated with the Red Bull sponsor. Now, after being promoted last season, we now mix it with the big boys in the top end of German football. The thing is, though, the media prediction and the board expectation is mid-table. Now, I wonder if you guys think that's a little bit too high. We haven't had a huge budget. We only got around 4 million, and after we sent players back on loan, sold a few players, we had around, I think, about 12 million to spend in total. We don't have the biggest of squads, but to get promoted then via playoffs, not directly as second or the champions of Bundesliga 2, this might be a little bit over expectation, but we will try to do it in our first season and at least make the mid-table. I wouldn't expect our team to be any better than that. Certainly don't expect us to be relegated. I feel we can score enough goals, and we have worked on the defence, so hopefully we can shore up at the back and reach the board expectation of mid-table in the Bundesliga. Regarding players staying, it's worth noting that probably our best player in the squad, the number 7, the Austrian Marcel Sabitzer, signed a new contract. It is indeed on a hefty wage of £50,000 per week. On a 5-year deal, his value is now £8.5 million. Now, last season he did play 37 games plus 1 substitute appearance. He scored 12 goals and 17 assists. So he contributed to 29 goals in the 38 appearances he did make, getting a 7.42 average, which shows you really how effective he is and how important he is to our squad. Before we get into transfers and sales, one player I'm disappointed that did leave is Rani Khedira. He is a very, very good, solid player, but he couldn't get really in our squad and in our first 11 and get a starting berth due to the form of other players, Christopher Ayer being one, and when we got Josh Kimmich on loan from Bayern Munich, he really did play well in that register role. Sad to see him go, but for the last 6 months he has told me he was going to go. He leaves the club on a free transfer and joins rivals Paderborn. Now, speaking of the Norwegian wonder kid Christopher Ayer, of course, who we signed from start, Now, he's valued at 2.9 million, and I know how good this kid can be, but he hasn't played too well for me so far. But this season he's going to slot in at defensive mid, and he's going to be a real key mainstay of the team. So much so that we've turned bids of 14 million, 16 million, and recently 19 million pounds, all from Arsenal. So that is big money. That is money that we could reconstruct our squad, add depth, because I said our squad isn't that big, and really give us a few good signings. As right now I'm struggling to bring in another striker due to injuries. And injuries is indeed why I'm looking for another striker that we can't actually afford as it stands. Now, number 9, Davy Selke, 22, he's a German under-21 international. Now, Germany under-21 squad played England under-21s, and Davy Selke actually broke his leg in that match that they went on to win. So he is out for at least 5 months, probably 6 months before he gets back to full fitness. I'm really gutted about this because he is our main striker, our spearhead of the team, and someone I really look to build the squad around. As you can see in the bottom right, so far for Red Bull Leipzig, he has 27 goals in 59 appearances. He has had a bad injury before. This is another one. It's sad to see, but it's going to be probably January time before we see Davy Selke back in amongst the Red Bull Leipzig squad. Now, before I get into the transfer activity that has been going on at the club, I want to show you one player that we actually missed out on. Number 15 now of Borussia Mönchengladbach, Maximilian Eggestein. Now, as you know, we played Werder Bremen and beat them in the playoff final last season. Now, that's the club he played for, and that is where I really noticed him, and he was a good player. I thought we'd check out their squad, see who was going, and see who could pick up. So I wanted this guy, 2.1 million he ended up going to Gladbach for, and I don't know if it's the stature of club that he chose them, if he's expected to play first team football at the club, but I was a little bit disappointed not to get him. We did offer him a good contract. He's a real good looking player at this level. He's a German under-19 international, and hopefully maybe one day we can pick him up. But this is one of the transfer targets that we did miss out to. That is Maximilian Eggestein, formerly of Werder Bremen, who have now been relegated to Bundesliga 2. He has joined Borussia Mönchengladbach. Ironically, our first signing of this summer comes from Werder Bremen, as you know who we put out of the division and into Bundesliga 2. It's Manon Busch. Now, he came to light in that double live column, that double header against Werder Bremen in the playoffs. He looked a real good player against me, even though his average wasn't the best in the second match. He's someone that looked really good. Now, I didn't have a right back. Well, I did, but I sold him in this window because he was unhappy. After I sold him, I didn't really have a right back, so I was looking for one to come in and really push Klosterman, who is now the vice captain, really push him in that right back berth, because Klosterman has no problem going into the middle if needed. But this guy, Manon Busch, I've never used him before. He joins the club, the first signing of the summer from Werder Bremen for £425,000. Looks a real good bargain to me. Signing number 2 is a loan deal for 21-year-old under-21 German international Jonathan Tah on loan from Bayer Leverkusen. He did go on loan to Hamburg last season and played 12 games. He's not really settled at Leverkusen. I'm hopeful he can be a real dynamite loan signing for us, because John Brooks last season and Jonas Okori last season came in on loan and didn't really do a good job. This guy looks really solid. Key attributes that stand out: marking, his tackling, he's got real good pace, 16, 13 acceleration, his strength is fantastic, composure 14, teamwork 15, he looks real good, and hopefully can be a rock at the start of the season and throughout, and really he will be starting in my team alongside Jan Kirchhoff. Of course, he is injury prone, so we don't know how much of him we will see, but we will get into the tactical side of things and the changes after we talk about the transfer activity. Now, of course, last season we did lose Emil Forsberg, the left winger, and we brought in Julian Brandt, who we now cannot get in this season, probably because we are in the same division, or he may want to be used at Leverkusen. So we brought in Amin Younes for 1.7 million, the German under-21 international who has 18 caps at that level and 3 goals. He is a player that will go on my bench initially, but he's a player that I will look to use to the full extent that I can. He's got some decent attributes: flair 17, crossing 12, dribbling 16, first touch 15. He has got real decent acceleration, agility 18, pace of 13, and someone that I will really look to use and exploit in matches from the bench if and when needed. The next signing we brought in for, I think, 1.8 million is 24-year-old German Patrick Rakowski from Nuremberg. The team, of course, we kept in the Bundesliga 2 after beating them on the last day of the season. Now, Koen Casteels has actually left the club. He had a long-term injury last season and didn't really push the young man Dragowski in goals. This is a goalkeeper that I really believe he can play as number one, but he won't start as number one throughout the season, but he can push Dragowski. So if Dragowski makes a mistake, I have no problem making Rakowski the number one in goals. Of course, in cup matches, this guy may also play. A real good player and real competition in the goals now to compete for the number one spot. The penultimate signing is a central defender that I really did need one to bring in, not only as cover but potential to start in the near future. He's 18 years old, he's a French under-21 cap with 4 caps to his name. It's Théot Upamecano. We've brought him in from fellow Red Bull club Salzburg. Now, he is valued at 2.6 million, got a contract for £10,000 per week. He looks real solid. One that could go on to become a top central defender in this game. Key attributes that stand out: heading 14, marking 14, tackling 13, bravery, concentration, determination, positioning, teamwork, work rate, strength. He's got a lot of quality aspects in his game, and I have no qualms about slotting him in to the central defence should Kirikov or Ta be injured early on. The final summer signing so far anyway is Jorge Espericueta. Now, I know he says Jonathan Espericueta, but previously on Old Football Managers he was known as George. He's a Mexican international, 13 caps, 1 goal, also capped at under 23 level. He's 22 years old. We've brought him in for £6 million from Tigres. He used to play for the Villarreal B side. His value is 7.5 million. He's a key player in the team. He will play as the advanced playmaker, I'm sure, and he's earning £25,000 per week. Physically he looks decent, mentally he looks absolutely brilliant, and technically he looks a real diamond. 16 passing, 15 technique, long shots 13, first touch 14, free kick taken 14. He is someone that I think could be an absolute gem in this save. He's someone that I've not actually used properly before. I've used him previously, but only briefly in saves. I think I had him on loan at a club on FM15, but I'm really looking forward to using him in the save, and he's going to slot in alongside Dominic Kaiser as a stalwart in the middle of that midfield. So that wraps up our signings so far. We don't really have any money, but we are currently trying to bring in Ciro Immobile on loan from Sevilla. Now, we can afford his wages, but we can't afford the fee that they want currently, so I may have to move 1 or 2 out to get a striker that we so badly need in. We spent 12.12 million. In terms of outgoings, it was 6.55 million we let go. Eric Behrens, Fritz Plug, Marcel Becker, Dominic Hein and Rani Khedira, as I showed you, all left the club on a free transfer. Andre Martins, who we brought in on a free transfer, he has now joined Augsburg. Koen Casteels goes to Leverkusen for £500,000. Marcel Holstenberg joins Ingolstadt for £100,000. He's decent, but he's out of contract at the end of the season, and really I would have let him go for nothing. Omar Damari, who never really played for the club under me, got farmed out on loan twice, so it was good to get 4 million for him, considering the only other bid was 2.5 million from Kievo. He was on a high wage. He has got decent stats, but for his wage, his age and his value, we really had to get him out because we have much better deals. Although currently it looks like we could have done with him, as we are down to the bare bones after Selke's injury regarding strikers. George Tiegler joined Werder Bremen for £375,000. So basically it was almost a straight swap. Tiegler for Marlon Bush, plus 50k from us in their direction. And Federico Palacios Martinez has joined Cottbus for £80,000 with add-ons. He is a decent young player. A player that really I made quite well and good on FM15, but someone that never quite lived up to his attributes in this save so far. So here we are on the tactics screen, and this is how we're going to line up in the early stages of Season 3. In goals, of course, Dragowski, but at fullbacks we're going to play them both on support. We're going to play one ball-playing defender, we're going to play a central defender on defence. We're going to play Ayer as the regista. We're going to play a deep line playmaker and an advanced playmaker in the middle, a winger on either side of a flat 4, and the false 9 up front. Of course, with Selka's injury, that really put a spanner in the works and made us have to change our plan overall. But we will get more into tactics as the season goes on. And just before we play the live com, we will get into pre-season and see how we got on. Then we will get into today's match. We didn't actually play that many friendlies at all. In fact, 4 in total. We played Leifring away, of course, our affiliate club. Amin Younes getting a double, Yusuf Poulsen getting one, Moussa Dembele and Zach Clough also getting on the score sheet. We then played Club Brugge at home, Christopher Ayer getting a double, Sabitzer getting one and Clough getting one. We then went to Amiens and then we beat them 2-1, Dembele and Poulsen getting goals, a late one by Poulsen securing the victory, for losing away to Beitar Jerusalem 1-0 with a massive attendance of 29. Now, the season is upon us and we're about to play the German Cup. I think it's the first round. Indeed it is, as it tells me on my right hand side. We're playing Bonatal, the very much minnows in Germany. I think they're like semi-amateur or something. They're really, really low down. So hopefully we can get off to a big win to kickstart things and get a little bit of confidence before we start the league campaign 1 week today at the Mercedes-Benz Arena against Stuttgart. Of course, a club that not quite are what they once were. First home match of the Bundesliga campaign is at home at the Red Bull Arena against Mainz before we go away to the Allianz Arena. Of course, the German giants, the Bavarian beasts that is Bayern Munich. They did finish 4th in the league last season behind Dortmund, who won it. Joint top, although lost out on goal difference, was Leverkusen. I think Schalke finished 3rd. Then we play Wolfsburg, then Leverkusen, Schalke, Hamburg. A real tough start in the opening 6 or so games. Then we get a decent run against Darmstadt, Hoffenheim, Freiburg, Hannover, Hertha Berlin, Cologne. So really we're going to have to hit the ground running and get a couple of decent results in those opening tough games. Alright guys, enough chat. We've previewed the season, we've decided this is happening, this is what has gone down. I've told you a few bits and bobs, it's time to get into it. It's Bonatal away in the German Cup. Hopefully we can get a big win today and give us a boost for the opening match away from home against Stuttgart next week. So today the bookmakers have us 1 to 10 clear favourites, 15 to 1 if you want the opposing team to win. They're lining up a 4-4-1-1. So we're lining up the formation I just told you about, but we've decided, as it's the first game of the season, a game that we should almost bank on winning, we're going to rest a couple of players, including the captain Jan Kirchhoff, who's only 70% match fit due to coming back from a bad injury that kept him out at the end of last season. So here is how we line up. In goals, Dragowski. Left back Young, central defence, debuts for Upamecano and Ta. Bush making his debut right back also. Ayer as the regista. Espericueta and Kaiser in the middle. Espericueta making his debut, as is Younes on the left hand side. Sabitzer on the right. And Moussa Dembele actually getting a chance and a start in the first game of the season. Hopefully he can impress. On the bench, Rakovski, Kirchhoff, Orban, Klosterman, Urare, Clough, and the last resort in terms of a striker also to help out is Joshua Endres, who is actually on the transfer list. So the boys have been briefed, and of course I've told them that I expect a win, no excuses. We are playing with our new mentality today. We're going to play with a counter in the start of the season. And would you Adam believe it, 16 seconds into the match and Red Bull Leipzig are 1-0 up away to Bonatal with the first attempt. We expected to win, and win by a lot, But the first attack, after 16 seconds I think, that is unbelievable start to the match. So yeah, we're going to talk about counter. That's how we're going to line up this season, and the reason for that is because I don't expect us to control any game possession-wise in this division. Kaiser plays it over to Younes, gets an assist on his debut, and Moussa Dembele notches to put us 1-0 ahead after 1 minute. Young. Kaiser. Out to Young. Plays it in, and there you go. 1 minute 50 in, Marcel Sabitzer gets his goal, first goal of the season of course, and a real impressive player. So as you can see guys on our kit here, it is like red with a dark shade of purple, and that was the reason why I made the third kit that we're currently playing in purple when I made a new kit for us. Dembele, Younes, Young, Sabitzer, and it's 3-0 after 6 minutes. Marcel Sabitzer gets his second goal of the game. Now granted guys, I kind of knew that I was going to get a massive win today in the first live comm of Season 3. But what I didn't know is that the first game of the season was going to be in the Cup. I expected this to be 3 or 4 games in, and I expected the first live comm to come in the opening Bundesliga match. And there you go, 4-0, 8 minutes in. I think this is going to be a long live comm because I think we're going to dominate throughout. Dominic Kaiser, I believe, getting the goal there from a Young cross. 4 shots, 4 on target, 4 goals, and looking a little bit too easy. Of course, this is probably the equivalent of a pub side in Germany, if you like, which is the reason why I gave players a first start. Kaiser, Sabitzer. Approaching the 10th minute here, 4-0 up away from home at Bonatal. Ayer, Espericueta, into Dembele, blocked. So we have set up a new corner tactic. Hopefully we can get something working from it. I'm going to try working on a free kick set piece soon. But yeah, I did work on the set piece tactic for attacking and defending on the left hand side and the right hand side of corners. So hopefully we can get a couple of goals from that this season. Schrader. Hansk. Comes to nothing. 3 assists out of the 4 goals from Anthony Young. Dominic Kaiser the captain today because Jan Kirchhoff is taking a seat on the bench, and our vice-captain Lucas Klosterman is of course on the bench to give Marlon Bush his debut and a chance to shine and impress, who has got a 6.9 so far after 20 minutes. One of the only players that had below 7, although it has just been pushed to 7. The goalkeeper now on 6.9, he has had nothing to do. Don't even think he's probably touched the ball as it stands. 27 minutes gone here. 4-0 against Bonatal. Usually big matches and big wins will be quite exciting, but a match that we really expect to win by a large margin might not be so much. And of course, if you watched one of the previous episodes, at the tail end of Season 2 when we played St. Pauli, remarkably beat them 8-0 away from home, which was a little bit crazy, and my biggest and best result so far in Football Manager was that result indeed. Dembele, Bush, goes for an audacious attempt and goes into the hands of Schofield. Schrader. The opposing striker Schrader is kind of isolated on his own up top. Rarely had a touch of the ball. Dembele. Espericueta out to Younes. Plays it in. Sabitzer. Blocked. Kaiser. Bush. Sabitzer again on the right hand side. Bush. Plays a cross into the danger zone, and you would be looking for one of your attackers to pounce on that. So that should be at half time, guys, and indeed it is. 4-0 up at half time, and look like we're going to coast into the second round of the German Cup, and we will calmly tell them that I'm happy with what they're doing and the way things are going. We don't want to mock the opposition. We do want to be professional about this and go on and try and score some more goals if we can. But now I think the important thing is that the young lads at the back, Bush age 22, Tath age 21, Dea Upamecano age 18 and Bartlomiej Dragowski in the goals age I think 20, it's important that they now keep a clean sheet. Young, Espericueta, Kaiser, Espericueta again, Dembele, and balloons it wide. A player that we're probably going to sell sometime soon is Joshua Endres, so I think we'll bring him on for probably what will be his only appearance of the season, unless nobody wants him. In regards to other players coming on, I don't really want to get anyone injured, such as Poulsen or Klosterman. You know what, I think we'll bring on Kirkhoff and give him a run out. Considering he's our captain and he really should be and hope to be starting more often than not this season, after barely making an appearance last season due to injury, which he seems to be very prone to. Wanted by Schalke, the rumours were circulating earlier in pre-season. If he keeps getting injured as much as he did last season, we could probably look to sell him. First shot on target there for Bonatal. Comes to nothing into Dragowski's arms. Substitutions made. Confirmation. Kirkhoff on for Ta. Endres on for Moussa Dembele. Bush. Espericueta. Plays it forward to Endres. Out to Younes. Plays it in. And Sabitzer notches his hat-trick. And as you can see, the purple kit comes up there. The one that I created. Sabitzer gets his hat-trick. And Younes with another assist. Plays a danger ball into the back stick. And he ghosts in the back to put it away. We'll take the hat-trick hero off just for the sake of it. And I think we will bring on Yusuf Poulsen. Hopefully he doesn't get injured. But there's no need for the main man, the best player in the team, in my opinion, Marcel Sabitzer, to continue on after his hat-trick. Job done. 5 shots out of 12 on target and 5 goals. Every player way above the 7 mark, other than the goalkeeper who is bang on 7. The rest are 7.7 and above. 2 assists for Amin Younes so far on his debut. Bush. Into Endres. Urari. Upamecano, Asia, Espericueta, and it comes to nothing. We don't actually have that much percentage of the possession. Now that is not really due down to the opposing team, although I do believe we should have more than what we do, 42%. But the system tactic is not set up to control games in terms of ball retention, so we're looking really to soak up pressure. This, remember, is set up to play against big teams, such as the first game of the season, Stuttgart, or the second game of the season against Wolfsburg, or especially against the likes of Bayern Munich, who we come up against at the Allianz Arena in 3 or 4 games' time, where we're going to probably get battered most of the game. Urari Poulsen, Espericueta, Urari. Does he want to get on party? Kaiser. Bush. Bush goes for a shot from an acute angle and it comes to nothing. 77 minutes gone here, away at Bonatal, and it is going to fizzle out into the victory that we came for and the victory that we expected to get a few goals, currently 5, and of course a clean sheet. A run out for the captain Kirkhoff is important to a hat-trick of assists from Young, who sits on a 9.3 so far. Young, playing very far forward, Endres. Out to Young again, into Espericueta, back to Young. Plays it into Younes, back to Espericueta, Young. Blocked and goes out for a corner here in the dying minutes of this DFB Pokal Round 1 match against the minnows of Germany, Bonatal. I think they're semi-professional or amateur, I'm not quite sure, but they are a pretty poor outfit down in the deeper depths of German football. Dragowski. And there it go, guys. Bonatal 0, Red Bull Leipzig 5. Comfortable win. Blistering start to the match. 3-0 up inside 7 minutes. And really, we dominated the match. Man of the match, of course, with a hat-trick and a 9.6 average, Marcel Sabitzer. Now, one thing I didn't show you guys that I meant to show you in terms of the transfer activity. These guys are not coming in. That's not what it's about. But in the future, I'd like to bring back Josh Kimmich, who, of course, Bayern Munich signed from Red Bull Leipzig. I'd like to bring him back in some capacity, whether it be a loan deal or not. He's a real solid player who done quite well for us on loan last season, playing a lot of games. 67 in total for the club. Of course, that includes his previous spell at the club. A real solid player, somebody that I'd love to bring back to the club on a permanent basis at some point. Another acquisition I've been looking at for a while is Ismail Azouai from Wolfsburg. He's been on my trail for a long time, but they always want a lot of cash for him. He's somebody that will cost a lot of money, but hopefully someone that can bring it into the club. He's kind of similar in terms of attributes, but 4 years younger to Amin Younes. So Younes was kind of the backup and cheaper alternative to Azouai, who I couldn't bring in on a permanent deal. But one day I will look to bring the Belgian in. And finally, a young guy from Bochum who they want too much money from is Gökhan Gül, the young German capped at under 19 level. He looks a real solid player. Someone I hope I can bring in one day in the future. But of course, if Ayer stays at the club, touch wood he does, but I fear we're going to get big bids coming in for him. Of course, turned down 4 bids for him, but if we do have to sell him one day, Gökhan Gül would be a direct replacement I would look to bring in. Okay guys, so we're just about to wrap up this episode, but I thought I would bring you the German Cup second round draw. Hopefully we can avoid a big team and progress into the last 16. Sorry about that. So we're going to do the draw, and the opening team drawn out is Duisburg. I will take them in the next round. Bielefeld, Braunschweig, Hannover, Schalke, Bayern. Ooh, that's a big draw in the second round. Augsburg, Leverkusen, Karlsruhe, Mainz, Paderborn, Wehen, Erfurt. I would take them. I would love to draw this team. Frankfurt, Red Bull Leipzig, so at least we have a home tie. Wolfsburg. That is a very tricky tie for the second round of the Cup. So guys, the day is today when we kick off our Bundesliga campaign against Stuttgart. Don't worry, I'm not bringing you that live comm today. Next we play Mainz, but I know it's only 3 matches into the league, but how can I not bring you the away match against Bayern Munich? So, this episode has gone on probably around 15 minutes than I expected or I would like, but it is a Season 3 preview. Of course, we are now in the German Bundesliga with the big boys. So I'm about to play Stuttgart, then Mainz, and I will be back for the blockbuster that will really test us and probably give us a bit of a beasting against the German giants Bayern Munich. Thank you for sticking with the rise throughout this break of 7-8 weeks, but we're well and truly back and underway, and I'm loving this save. Hopefully we can achieve mid-table as expected by the media and board, and that just about sums it up, guys. Thank you for sticking with it, and I will see you very soon.